Hey, how you guys doing? So, if you've been following me, I said earlier this year that I'm going to start sharing with you more about prayer and what it means to go deeper into prayer. And I experienced something recently that's I had to step away from before I could share because it took time to process, right? And I wanted to make sure that when I did share it with you guys, that I had the right words ready and kind of just the right heart, be in the right place. And so this video might be a little bit longer than my typical 5 minutes that I try to keep it to, but bear with me, and hopefully it'll be helpful to someone. So I'm going to start with something I wrote in my notes. Whenever I do a spiritual fast, I take notes. And what I recently completed, actually I completed 2 weeks ago, was a 40-day fast, right? It was a 40-day spiritual fast. And it was kind of like designed like a Ramadan, where I would just eat one meal a day. So I'd essentially fast for about 22 hours. But then what I felt in my heart as part of that fast was to do a 1-hour prayer every day, which I thought would probably be the hardest part. And so what I did is I would design most of the prayer time in the morning. And one of the notes I wrote was, and this is me writing to God, "You have done wonderful things planned long ago." I'll read it again. "You have done wonderful things planned long ago." And you'll understand what that means as I share this story. So my wife and I are coming up on 20 years of marriage in June. And we met and married within 8 months of knowing each other. So it was around probably March when God gave me this word. It was like a prophetic word. I can only say it's prophecy now, 20 years later. But back then I didn't know. He told me that she loved me more than I could imagine, right? It came along with when I was praying to him. I was walking home from a training session. I was training in Aikido a lot back then. And when I was praying, walking home, I felt like God was really excited about Tina and I getting married. And it didn't make any sense to me because, it's not like we're the first people ever to get married in life. And it's not like we're famous people. And then I said, "Why are you so excited?" And then he said, "She loves you more than you can imagine." And I'm, as you probably know by now, I'm a highly inquisitive person. And I'm just like, okay, what the heck does that mean, Lord? What does that mean that she loves me more than I can imagine? We barely know each other. Let's be real, right? We just met in March. We would have known each other, let's see, October, November, December, January, February, March, 5 months, right? We would have known each other 5 months. And of course, I went and asked Tina that. I go, "What does that mean? This is what God told me." She didn't know. She, over the years, I would ask her every so often, because God would say that to me. "She loves you more than you can imagine." And it always bugged me because it was like, how is that possible? And I would ask Tina, and she would have, over the time, she would have some thoughts, some ideas. And, it just never fully sat with my heart and mind, I guess. And then I was coming up, finishing the 40-day spiritual fast. And it was like 2 days before the end. So it was day 38. And during my prayer, that phrase came up again, right? That phrase of "she loves you more than you can imagine" had kind of waned away, over 20 years. But every so often it would still come back up. And I just stopped asking Tina what God meant. And I even stopped asking God what that meant. And then, I just wrote it down in my notes, day 38. And then day 40, the last day of the fast, God wants me to go back and look at that note. I'm looking back at that note. And then he shows me why. He tells me finally why. What does that mean? How does Tina love me more than I could imagine? And he said, "She's still here." Right? I said earlier, we're coming up on 20 years of marriage. She's still here. So what does that mean? I have put my wife through some really tough things. Had breakfast this morning with a friend of mine. He's going through some struggles with someone that really likes him, but she's still new to recovery. She's got about a year. But anyone that's been in long-term recovery knows, it can take a long time to heal emotional wounds. So my wife got with me pretty much during my sobriety. We met a few months after I started, and she's been with me through my whole sobriety journey. So you can imagine some of the things that she had to go through to be with me, to heal with me, to be hurt by me. And not just once, but many times over, because of my addictions, because of me and my ego and my self-entitlement. I mean, it ran deep, deep, deep. And it's crazy, because there have been times I wouldn't have blamed her if she left me, because, not that anyone makes it easy, but I would break her heart. The things that I've done that just not good for a marriage, but she's still here. And oh man, you can't even imagine, it broke my heart to realize now what God had been saying to me all that time. And that quote that I read to you earlier from my notes, that was from day 2. God was preparing me for what was going to come in the 40-day fast. I didn't know what was coming, honestly. I thought I knew. It's one of those things you think you know, but you don't. You have done wonderful things planned long ago. That's what God was telling me. He knew that I needed to hear it in that way, I guess. I'm still actually processing it, even sharing with you now. It's still blowing me away that he would speak to me 20 years later, right, about something. And here's where it gets crazy. I was telling my brother that my fast ended in March. And I don't know the first time that he told me exactly the date. I just know it was early before Tina and I got married. I don't know the first time he told me that she loves me more than I can imagine. I told my brother it could have been in March. He could have revealed his answer to me, is what I'm saying to you, the very same day that he actually told me that prophecy 20 years ago. I don't know, because I never wrote it down. I just know that it was shortly after we got engaged, and Tina and I got engaged in February. So then in March, he's sharing with me this prophecy that would be spoken back to me 20 years later. And I share that with you because, gosh, I wanted you to know the power of prayer and how God will share with us and speak to us and reveal things to us. And even during our sin, even when we're hurting people along the way, we're still learning and growing. We're still trying to be loving people as much as we can. I mean, obviously, there's something good about me. Otherwise, my wife wouldn't have stuck around either, right? Something more to me that my wife sees, not just with her eyes, but with her heart. And I'm hoping the same experience comes to you in some way, that God is speaking to you prayers right now that you may not even begin to understand until years, decades later. That's probably what I'm sharing with you right now, is that was a prayer answered to me in 20-year stretch. And I can't even begin to tell you what impact it's had on my life today, in this moment. I guess we'll see more as things progress with my ministry and things get better and the visions that God has planted in my mind come to fruition, because I'll take you on that journey with me. But for now, I just wanted to share that story with you, and I hope it helps. The bottom line is, don't ever give up. No matter how much you might fail or how much you might think you're not worth, being loved by God, you are. And just stick with it. Hang in there. All right, there's some links in here. Check it out. I'll see you again next time.